In this video, I will be discussing the 20 most important executive departments of the Philippine government and their respective budgets for fiscal year 2023. This data is taken from the report of the Department of Budget and Management, DBM. First, I will discuss the Department of Education, DepEd. This department has a budget of 852.8 billion pesos for 2023. DepEd is responsible for ensuring access to, promoting equity in, and improving the quality of basic education in the country. It is the main agency tasked to manage and govern the Philippine system of basic education. It is the chief formulator of Philippine education policy and responsible for the Philippine primary and secondary school systems. 2. Department of Public Works and Highways, DPWH. This department has a budget of 718.4 billion pesos for 2023. DPWH is solely vested with the mandate to be the state's engineering and construction arm. It is tasked to carry out the policy of the state to maintain an engineering and construction arm and continuously develop its technology, and shall be responsible for the planning, design, construction and maintenance of infrastructure facilities and other public works in accordance with national development objectives. 3. Department of Health, DOH. This department has a budget of 296.3 billion pesos for 2023. DOH is the executive department of the government that is responsible for ensuring access to basic public health services by all Filipinos through the provision of quality health care, the regulation of all health services and products. It is the government's overall technical authority on health. 4. Department of the Interior and Local Government, DILG. This department has a budget of 253.1 billion pesos for 2023. DILG is responsible for promoting peace and order, ensuring public safety and strengthening local government capability aimed towards the effective delivery of basic services to the people. 5. Department of National Defense, DND. This department has a budget of 240.7 billion pesos for 2023. This department of the government is responsible for guarding against external and internal threats to peace and security in the country. The Department of National Defense exercises executive supervision over the armed forces of the Philippines, UFP. It is also responsible for disaster preparation and management in the country. 6. Department of Social Welfare and Development, DSWD. This department has a budget of 197 billion pesos for 2023. Department of Social Welfare and Development is responsible for the protection of the social welfare of rights of Filipinos and to promote the social development. 7. Department of Agriculture, DA. This department has a budget of 184.1 billion pesos for 2023. This executive department of the government is the one responsible for the promotion of agricultural and fisheries development and growth. 8. Department of Transportation, DOTr. This department has a budget of 167.1 billion pesos for 2023. DOTr is responsible for the maintenance and expansion of viable, efficient, and dependable transportation systems as effective instruments for national recovery and economic progress. It is responsible for the country's land, air, and sea communications infrastructure. 9. Department of Labor and Employment, DOLE. This department has a budget of 41.4 billion pesos for 2023. DOLE is mandated to formulate policies, implement programs and services, and serve as the policy coordinating arm of the executive branch in the field of labor and employment. It is tasked with the enforcement of the provisions of the Labor Code. 10. Department of Justice, DOJ. This department has a budget of 28.6 billion pesos for 2023. Department of Justice is responsible for upholding the rule of law in the country. It is the government's principal law agency, serving as its legal counsel and prosecution arm. 11. Department of Science and Technology, DOST. This department has a budget of 24.4 billion pesos for 2023. DOST is responsible for the coordination of science and technology-related projects in the Philippines and to formulate policies and projects in the fields of science and technology in support of national development. 12. Department of Environment and Natural Resources, DENR. This department has a budget of 23.3 billion pesos for 2023. DENR is responsible for governing and supervising the exploration, development, utilization, and conservation of the country's natural resources. 13. Department of Finance, DOF. This department has a budget of 21.9 billion pesos for 2023. This executive department of the government is responsible for the formulation, institutionalization and administration of fiscal policies, management of the financial resources of the government, supervision of the revenue operations of all local government units, the review, approval and management of all public sector debt, and the rationalization, privatization and public accountability of corporations and assets owned, controlled or acquired by the government. 14. Department of Foreign Affairs, DFA. This department has a budget of 20.6 billion pesos for 2023. DFA is tasked to contribute to the enhancement of national security, protection of the territorial integrity and national sovereignty, to participate in the national endeavor of sustaining development and enhancing the Philippines' competitive edge, to protect the rights and promote the welfare of Filipinos overseas and to mobilize them as partners in national development, to project a positive image of the Philippines, and to increase international understanding of Philippine culture for mutually beneficial relations with other countries. 15. Department of Agrarian Reform. This department has a budget of 9.9 billion pesos for 2023. It is an executive department of the Philippine government that is responsible for the redistribution of agrarian land in the Philippines. 16. Department of Information and Communications Technology, DICT. This department has a budget of 8.3 billion pesos for 2023. DICT is an executive department responsible for the planning, development and promotion of the country's information and communications technology agenda in support of national development. 17. Department of Trade and Industry, DTI. This department has a budget of 6.3 billion pesos for 2023. Department of Trade and Industry was tasked as the main economic catalyst that enables innovative, competitive, job-generating, inclusive business, and empowers consumers. 18. Department of Tourism, DOT. This department has a budget of 3.7 billion pesos for 2023. Department of Tourism is responsible for the regulation of the Philippine tourism industry and the promotion of the Philippines as a tourist destination. 19. Department of Budget and Management, DBM. This department has a budget of 1.7 billion pesos for 2023. DBM is an executive body under the Office of the President of the Philippines. It is responsible for the sound and efficient use of government resources for national development and also as an instrument for the meeting of national socio-economic and political development goals. 20. Department of Energy, DOE. This department has a budget of 1.3 billion pesos for 2023. DOE is responsible for preparing, integrating, manipulating, organizing, coordinating, supervising, and controlling all plans, programs, projects and activities of the government relative to energy exploration, development, utilization, distribution and conservation. Thank you for watching. See you in my next video.